This is the magnetic field that everybody has been taught. This is the magnetic field that is taught in schools, colleges, universities. It is called a reciprocating field, which means it goes from north to south. What if I said it doesn't do that? What if I said this field, which is 150 years old, which has been viewed using iron filings by science, what if this is wrong? If I could prove that the magnetic field doesn't do this, surely that would aid science, especially now that we are making electromagnetic tweezers, magnetic tweezers for moving atoms and molecules around. And yes, those kind of things do work. But if this magnetic field is incorrect, all sciences must change because all atoms are electromagnetic, and so the principle behind the theory has now changed because the theory's changed, and because physics is the basics of all matter, anything to do with matter would then have to be re-evaluated to bring in this new correct knowledge. So this is the field that is believed to be in everything. Magnetic fields are produced by electric currents. So the current in a wire, loop of wire, a solenoid, a rare earth bar magnet, or the earth, or atoms, their magnetic fields are produced by electric currents inside, which can be macroscopic currents in wires or microscopic currents associated with electrons in atomic orbits. The magnetic field B is defined in terms of force on moving charge in the Lorentz force law. The interaction of magnetic fields with charge leads to many practical applications. Magnetic field sources are essentially dipolar in nature, having a north and south magnetic pole. The S1 unit for magnetic field is the Tesla, which can be seen from the magnetic part of the Lorentz force law written below. So, all of these things react exactly the same when an electric current is put through them. They produce a reciprocating magnetic field from north to south. This also includes the currents in a wire. So if I show that a magnetic field does not make a torus, then anybody who's an electrician out there, this of course will give you an added advantage over everybody else, because you would know why there was a torus around the line, and it's not because of a reciprocating magnetic field. Okay, well, let's go to Wikipedia for the magnetic field, because this obviously has a different and a world science explanation. Magnetic field. A magnetic field is a vector field that describes the magnetic influence of electric charges in relative motion and magnetized materials. The effects of magnetic fields are commonly seen in permanent magnets, which pull on magnetic materials such as iron and attract or repel other magnets. Magnetic fields surround and are created by magnetized material and by moving electric charges, electric currents, such as those used in electromagnets. They exert forces on nearby moving electrical charges and torques on nearby magnets. In addition, a magnetic field that varies with location exerts a force on magnetic materials. Both the strength and direction of a magnetic field vary with location. As such, it is described mathematically as a vector field. Okay, well, we've seen the theory picture of it, and if we have a look at this horseshoe magnet over here, we'll see that by using iron filings we can see the exact shape of the field. Well, that would be because it's iron filings and they're pretty bad for showing the field, but we will come to that. So, okay, has anybody drawn it? History. One of the first drawings of the magnetic field by René Descartes in 1644, showing the Earth's attracting lodestones. Lodestones are rocks that are naturally magnetic. It illustrates this theory that magnetism was caused by the circulation of tiny helical particles, threaded parts, through threaded pores in magnets, which sounds silly, but considering that's one of the first drawings of the magnetic field by René Descartes, let's go check him out and see what he knows about magnetic fields when they were first drawn. Okay, Descartes was a philosopher, mathematician, and he was a scientist. Descartes is also widely regarded as one of the founders of modern philosophy. And missing out all these other fantastic qualifications, Descartes was also one of the key figures in the scientific revolution in the 1600s. Alright, well, I was looking for his picture, but visions. According to Adrian Belay, on the night of the 11th of November 1619, Descartes shut himself in a room with an oven, probably a stove, to escape the cold. While within, he had 3 dreams and believed that a divine spirit revealed to him a new philosophy. That's when he. That's in the time that he drew his picture. So, this dude had visions. Seems a bit crazy. He concluded from these visions that the pursuit of science would prove to be for him the pursuit of true wisdom and a central part of his life's works. Now, for those of you who don't know, Descartes is the genius who discovered this basic truth quite soon. His famous, I think, therefore I am. So, Descartes, who is one of the most famous people on the planet for saying, I think, therefore I am, drew this. Drawing of a magnetic field by French philosopher René Descartes from his Principia Philosophiae, 1644. This was one of the first drawings of the concept of a magnetic field. It shows the magnetic field of the Earth D attracting several round lodestones, I, K, L, M and N, and remember lodestones are magnetic rocks, and illustrates his theory of magnetism. Descartes proposed that the magnetic attraction was caused by the circulation of tiny helical particles, threaded parts, which circulated through parallel threaded pores in magnets, in through the South Pole A, out through the North Pole B, and then through the space around the magnet G and H, and back to the South Pole. Oppositely threaded particles circulated in the opposite direction. When the threaded parts came near a lodestone or piece of iron, they passed through its pores, causing magnetic force. Okay, so this certainly does not look like this field. This field has something from east to west going on. Now, Descartes tried to explain it down here, and I believe that he saw it in a vision, because it's what I saw in a vision, except I've been brought up in a generation of MRI machines and computers and lasers and holograms. So I know what this is. But again, we'll come to that, because this is just a 1644 picture of a magnetic field with tiny little rotating pieces, like a double helix, all the way through it. Now we'll come to my description in a moment. So let's just recap what you know about magnetic fields. Magnets reciprocate. They do not do this. It's all about electric currents, electric charges, which produce magnetic fields. Electricity is in all of them, and it goes from wires outside your house to a bar magnet to atoms and the earth. So it covers everything. So if this magnetic field is incorrect, I'm going to show something quite different. There we go. Now, what are magnets made from? Before I let the cat out of the bag, let's just go with neodymium. Magnets are made from neodymium, iron and boron, and these are all kind of types of metals. I'm not 100% sure about boron. My search wouldn't bring anything back apart from they put it in food, which was really bizarre. So, but I saw it earlier, and I'm pretty sure they're all kind of metals. So these are man-made magnets that are made from metals. Now, lodestones, on the other hand, these are rocks. A lodestone is a naturally magnetized piece of the mineral magnetite, which is this, and this also is a rock mineral. They are naturally occurring magnets which can attract iron. The properties of magnetism was first discovered in antiquity through lodestones. So things like Stonehenge are lodestones. magnetic rocks. That's going to come important in a bit. Okay, so we have the world's view on what a magnet field looks like, and it looks like this. Okay, now I'm going to show you how we view magnetic fields these days, and have been viewing permanent magnet fields for the past 10 years by using what's known as a ferrocell. Please excuse the yellow squares, those are to cover my face because I don't need anybody coming around my house. Okay, quick tutorial because nobody uses iron filings anymore because they're rubbish and they don't show the field. So I'm going to show you the 10-year-old technology for being able to see a magnetic field and see real occurrences rather than a pile of iron filings that don't do anything. Alright, here we go. So, you have two pieces of glass, exactly the same size. Make sure they're clean. I've not touched the insides of these, I've just cleaned them and put them together. I'm going to open that up, like so, one half there and one half there. And we're going to be using ferrofluid. This is 60cc water-based fluid, basically iron nanoparticles in a suspension fluid. I've never used that one before. I have a load pre-mixed. Hopefully it'll work because it's about 18 months old since I last picked these up. So I know it'll work, I just don't know if it'll work really well. Okay, so you would take your 60cc ferrofluid and to it, in a 50-50 mix, you would add either WD-40 or baby oil, mineral oil, but you have to thin it out so you can see through it because this is way too dark. Okay, squeaky floors. Alright. Seems a bit thick, it's probably not going to work. Probably have to make this video again. Okay. Now we put the piece of glass on top. This is all going to squidge out. Should have got my stuff ready, which I did not. So what you then do is you want to get all the bubbles out and squeeze it out as much as you can. So I'm putting pressure on the glass. Shimmy it around and basically try and force everything out of there. So I'm going to grab myself a couple of magnets. You're going to go out. Nope. Normally you can squeeze them out with a magnet, but there we go. It's a bit rubbish because it's got holes in, but that's how you make a ferrocell. Now we're going to use it. Clean it off a little bit so I don't get covered in goo. Right, now this is called a light box. It's very simple to make. It's literally a piece of wood. I've got a piece of black card in the bottom so you don't see light colours, but it's basically a box with a hole in the top, LEDs in strips. Plug this in. That's a light box, and this would go over that. Unfortunately though, this is just one of my easy ones. That's just how you make one. So I'll plug in my prototype box. Now this is the prototype box that I built that has in it a rotating platform that uses solar light to power it, but these LEDs will power it. I have this in the middle. Then, to see a magnetic field rotate. Now remember, most of you have never ever seen this. Not ever.
So what I'm going to do to shut out some of the light is do that. So I invented a zeotrope magnetic viewer, and that means I've reverse engineered it so that instead of you seeing the magnetic field rotate, I move the light so that you can see the magnetic field rotate. Let's get this sort of centered. That's not too bad. And then you get to see the magnetic field and how it moves. I've got a lot of stuff missing, I've got to put all back together due to where's my fave? So what you're seeing on screen now has never been shown, except by me, of course. Oh, and that was the earth spin. So because I only took a few moments to make this, and the fact that my fluid is over 18 months old, I think we've got a good description of a magnetic field. You see that I'm turning that, but that's north. A magnet will spin itself, obviously. Alright, let's try that underneath. Now we've warmed it up a bit. And so we get to see the magnetic field. Because I'm moving it. So this is how we view magnetic fields now. We don't use iron filings because that would be ridiculous. So now I'm going to show you what I found on a magnet, because it certainly doesn't reciprocate. Kind of beats iron filings. Where's this heads up?
My apologies, I got caught up in watching the video myself. Okay, so here's a couple of the proofs of the magnetic field does not reciprocate like this around any magnet. The video that you're seeing on screen is a reproduction of an experiment that I showed on my channel, where I put a hole in a ferrocell. I passed a magnet through it. The inertial line is the middle of the magnet, around where north meets south, at the middle of the magnet on its sides. And as you can see from the video, you can see the bottom field, then it disappears, then you see the top field. If it was a reciprocating field, that pattern on screen would never disappear. and you see it flip from one side to the other because the field reflects and inverts at the inertial line where the fields meet. I'll be making a short little video showing you how they meet and how they connect. But yeah, this video shows that there is no reciprocating field. There are two fields on either side. Matter is passed from one side to the other so that the field, just like the iron filings, looks like a reciprocating field. But they meet at the inertial line, which is why the field disappears on the video. This video is by Mike Palazzola. I have linked this video below, and so you'll see the whole, so to speak, the whole video if you go and see that. He doesn't give me any credit for it, but if you check my videos you'll see that I showed it first, and I've spoken to Mike on several occasions. So yeah, this is the first observational scientific proof that there is no torus on a magnet, and magnets do not reciprocate from one side to the other. Okay, now we're going to see the field flip up from the inertial line and hook itself into another magnet, north to south facing. So I've said they don't reciprocate. I said they meet at the inertial line, and now you shall see it flick up from the inertial line into the other magnetic field and scroll into either a heart or an apple, depending on what you see.
Today I'm going to prove that this field that looks like it's wrapping around here, which of course looks like it's wrapping around here and wrapping around here, I'm going to make it bend up into the field of a magnet coming to two impulsed ends, and it's going to bend up like that, and it's going to bend up like that. This one's going to come in like that and like that, and then one rolls that way and one rolls this way, and it'll squeeze down into a heart. Watch this. Make sure I've got the right bloody end. Nope. See this? This is repulsing end. This is great big circles that do not want to meet. There's two of them because it's a double helix pushing into this one. This is the top field here, see? This now is two circles pushing against it. But if I turn this around to the positive end or whatever, the one that attracts, watch this. Here it comes.
Did you see it? No, of course you didn't. It was way too fast. So I'm going to repeat it now about 10 times and explain the fantastic thing that just happened. Right here, you see them separate. One comes up and one goes down because a south field and a south field cannot lock into each other because they're opposing. So me bringing that magnet in forced down the bottom side of the magnet and lifted up the top side of the magnet. So that is me separating the field at the inertial line. Brilliant, eh?
Don't you move. Did we even see it? I'm going to have to focus. There. Boom. Look at that. Look at that curl round. You see that? So these are the impulsion ends. That curls around to there. That's as far as I can push it. Can you see the heart? Look at that heart. Boom. It's like an apple. Right there. So, even though these look like they're bending downwards and going around the magnet, they are not.
So there we go. Now is how I have constructed the setup to see this. So this is how it's constructed. There is a light box on the bottom. I have a thin ferro plate on top of the light box, and I have an approximate length of the top plate is approximately 16 inches long, just so you can understand the angle, or put a protractor on the screen and take that angle roughly. If you notice the magnet is perpendicular to the top plate. It is not perpendicular to the bottom plate. It is flat to the bottom of the top plate. So do not put the magnet flat to the bottom plate and then sit the top plate on it. You may not get the same effect. I'm not sure. You might not see what I'm seeing. So the magnet is stuck to the top plate, so it is flat. What you see there, north is facing left and south is facing right, or the opposite way round, and away from us and towards us, and top and bottom is the inertial line where they meet. Okay, thanks very much for watching. I've shown how to make a ferrocell, construct a light box, and how to set up the experiment to show that the field meets at the inertia line, and I'll show you how to see that there is no torus on a magnet and it doesn't have a reciprocating field by putting a magnet through a hole in a ferroplate, showing that what everybody thinks is a magnetic field is actually incorrect. Thanks very much. My name is Lee. I follow the Christ, and I'm showing you all the things he showed me. On the next video, part 2, I will take this new actual factual description of a magnetic field, and I will show that it proves God, because that kind of magnetic field is how God describes himself. And so we will look at every description in the Bible and the explanations of his power and nature, and then we will find out that a true magnetic field, energy, leads to God, and that's why you've been taught about an incorrect magnetic field, so that it doesn't come near God. Now that I've shown it, I can draw it. I'm going to show you a 3D representation of how the fields connect. You saw circles and you saw heart shapes. That's because one side is a double helix and the other side of the double helix is an inverted reflection, and there are two poles on each side of a magnet. So north and south is on one. North would be dominant, north and south is on the bottom. South is dominant because they're the same field that's been inflected and reversed. God showed me all this in visions, and next video, part 2, I'll be proving God by the disproving and showing that magnetic theory is incorrect. Thanks a lot. Bye.